remembering Limerick and all the cities of the world. The poor have no memory for the sunshine of miserable times, picnics of hungry afternoons, holidays by the sea with a view from the tenement room of mackerel leaping in the laneways. But should you mention this, keep it Dickensian. You never know what toes you might be standing on.
My pond, don't slide the place I come from, 'cause these memories mean so much to me. They are what I've become. I remember those happy days by the banks of the Shannon we played. Life was hard for us, we lived on hope the most, but friends forever made. So brother, don't you run for cover, you may discover another time. Don't root among the ashes, the time it passes.
We used to go to the folk club. Yeah, we used to go to the folk club there, in the Sugawn Kitchen Folk Club, run by Tony Bradley from Dublin. And then we got to know Jerry O'Neill, who was a very interesting fella, as we all know, of course. And he roped us into joining the theatre, I think, or he started talking about theatre. And we had never, I suppose, come across a publican like that before, who was interested in theatre, you know, and who kind of invited you in, as it were. So we had very late nights talking about plays, and there weren't really any Irish theatres in London or any plays being represented, or not much anyway. Not the Irish plays weren't represented that much, were they? Not in the National Theatre.
No, you wouldn't get your
So Jerry was always on about, you know, writing as well, and we got talking, and gradually other people joined. But there was Frank Corkery there, who since died, of course, and he actually started, I think, the plays with Peggy McCarthy originally, or they tried to put on some of the classic Irish plays. I joined anyway in 1973, I think. But it was going as the Sugawn Kitchen, Folk Kitchen before that. Then it became known as the Sugawn Theatre, because Jerry had Sugawn chairs there, you know, the old Irish Sugawn and stuff, to give it the Irish, a bit of comfortable cottage look, I suppose. But so we went from there. We set up a committee and started putting plays on.
Well, when I first came to London, I came about 1965, and I wasn't a person of the theatre by background. I did illustrations. I used to draw for all the London Underground papers, Oz and IT and all that sort of stuff. And I came along, I heard about this pub. It was that time a music pub, and I was always on the lookout to meet people that were interesting. And the thing was, about 400,000 Irish had come over in the previous 2 decades, so there was an enormous number of Irish here. But most of us, and this would be particularly true of the men, came over with very little education at all. Very few of them had secondary education, and those that had, those who might have been doctors or something like that, would probably be in the Irish club, which was rather exclusive, and they didn't like the riff-raff going in there. And really, Jerry set up an alternative place for Irish people who were aspiring to something in the arts. And I came along there. I was amazed the first night I was there. I mean, here was this rather tatty pub with the wallpapers falling off the wall and the beer. There were complaints about the beer often. But I realised afterwards, since he was financing the whole thing, it wouldn't surprise me if the beer might be a little bit weaker than other places. I'm not saying it was now, but there were rumours. There were rumours, allegedly, let's put it that way.
Well, he gave us a lot of free drinks.
He gave us a lot of free drinks, absolutely. I never for a moment criticised him on that basis. And here he was upstairs typing away. I used to hear him during the day typing away novels and plays. He wrote 3 or 4 excellent novels. And then in the evening you'd be assured, I often couldn't wait for it to open. You get down there and you'd meet a few people. There was Paddy Fahey, the photographer, down the road. There was a mixture of 2 different sorts of people. There were young Irish people perhaps on the make in London, who were either in the theatrical world or in the artistic world, or writers, people like Shane Connaughton and Timothy O'Grady, people like that. And then there was other people like myself who were actually immigrants, who came over just to work in building sites and all the rest of it. And I had moved away from that, but by this time I'd found other things to do. But I didn't have any education, and neither did an awful lot of my friends. But you'd be assured there of being able to talk about interesting things. All the rest of the pubs were full of drinking, rather truculent Irishmen with great county affiliations and a lot of county chauvinism. You know, like a Longford man mightn't go into a Kerryman's pub, or a Dubliner mightn't go in there, and fisticuffs. A lot of fisticuffs. I mean, you find it in the writings of the time. You find it in people like Donal Macaulay's The Diary of a Navvy, or In a Strange Land by John O'Donoghue, or John B. Keane's autobiography. You find pictures of people who had been tumbled out of Ireland without any much vision of what the hell they were doing over in England, except that they were earning money. And here was Jerry O'Neill providing a focus for plays and arguments and music, and he really was a miniature art centre, the Sugawn Kitchen. He provided a miniature art centre. There was nowhere else you could go. I mean, there were London organisations. There were things like the Arts Lab and things like this. But that was for pop London. But Jerry was for Irish London. And I mean, he could be a bit irascible, he could be occasionally a bit difficult, but he was a decent man. I enjoyed his company greatly.
And critics coming in to review the plays we had in this small little space, national papers writing up about us, and suddenly the people, Peter Hall, suddenly thought, oh, it's in to be Irish at the moment. So he started reviewing or getting Irish plays going. And as you said, the Royal Court then took it upon themselves to
they've done several since.
They have, yes, that's right. But it really was the Sugawn, and the way it was run, the way it was admired, and the major critics coming in to see it. I mean, the Observer, the Sunday Times, very English papers.
We got it, yes.
Stephen Ray and Julie Covington were 2 of our great supporters.
Oh, they were invited to the Irish.
He financed it himself.
He did, yeah.
The profit from the pub.
For the love of it, and the
Absolutely.
old-fashioned sense of amateur theatre. You know,
well,
the good sense about amateur theatre.
Well, the villages, we all came from the towns. We all had an amateur dramatic group. I mean, from I was 5 years old, that was in the Mohall Dramatic group. That's what we went to Cavan Drama Festival and Longford Festival and whatever.
But Ireland had a long history.
That's right. Every village, everyone. So therefore, when we got together, we wanted to because when Jerry left, when he closed the pub down and left, that was the end. Full stop.
But the Sugawn did start things on the way. Jerry started the Sugawn, really, and that opened up the National Theatre towards Irish plays, because then they started, you know, the Irish plays were being put on at the Royal Court and the National Theatre. I mean, they gave us an opening then, but it was started by the Sugawn.
So brother, don't you run for cover. You may discover another time. Don't root among the ashes, the time it passes.
The Sugawn continued to stage plays and was a meeting place for the Irish until 1980, when J.M. O'Neill became a full-time writer. His gritty, dark, atmospheric novels, Open Cut, Duffy is Dead and Cannon Bang Bang, later he's been described as the laureate of the London Irish. J.M. O'Neill retired to Kilkeen, County Clare, where he wrote the award-winning novel of Limerick life, Bennett and Company. He died in May 1999.
So brother, don't you run for cover. You may discover